Hi, Colin here. I'm just at the local Hyde Park Festival and I ran into Young Chiropractic and Rachel, and we were talking about dogs and chiropractic. So Rachel, what sort of things do you do with dogs, and what sort of ailments do you come across that you might fix?
So we see a lot of dogs with lower back problems, quite commonly, limping, lameness, dogs that have lost back end control, even have bowel or bladder problems. Quite commonly we see dogs that have jumped off or had injuries off the back of cars or out of utes and things like that that cause spinal injuries.
Right. So a dog might, from what I understood from my chat with Rachel, a dog might have an injury that will present in a certain way when it's actually a problem with lower back or spinal conditions that she can fix. You go out to people's houses and assess them, do you?
Yes, so we can make appointments outside, or they can give us a call and we do that after hours to do that. Yep.
And the most common cause of problem that you might find in accidents that cause sort of injuries that people might need you, what sort of things are they?
Well, interestingly, we see a lot of neck problems from pulling dogs, from having dogs that are very hard to pull back on, so owners are having to pull them quite quickly if they're wanting to run across the road. Right. So as a result, they often get collar injuries from being yanked, and that causes neck problems just like it would if you could imagine a collar on our neck and it was yanked. Yeah. Same sort of thing. It could actually cause misalignments in the spine. The other things is very typically, like I was saying before, dogs jumping out of cars or down from high garden beds is really common. They're in small areas and they run around and they inevitably have a tip over or they fall over, and that causes an injury as well.
Wow, that's so. Number one is avoidance. Try and keep your dog in a situation where you don't need to pull on the dog. So
that's training. That's training. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. That's quite interesting because our remote dog trainer, a lot of people come to us with problems with dogs constantly pulling. And I know my dog Missy used to be able to pull us around the park on a skateboard basically. But with a remote trainer you can give the dog little bits of discomfort, which is no stress to a dog's neck, but certainly teaching them that it's uncomfortable for the dog to pull against you, and when you're walking with a loose lead, that's really where you want the dog.
Absolutely, and that saves injuries to humans as well, because constant pulling, we see a lot of shoulder injuries from people, so not only is it helping the dog, it's also helping you as well. Yeah,
I find on that note that people will let a dog pull them around and then all of a sudden jerk the dog back because they're sick of being pulled around the park, and that's possibly where they get the injuries, whereas the idea when you're actually walking a dog is to have a nice loose lead. So you've got to have that lead coming down in that J curve, and if the dog starts to pull away, that's when you've got to guide it back into the right position, but then loosen the lead off and you won't get those sort of injuries as well.
Absolutely.
And my other dog, Spud, many years ago, he fell off the car and down into the well, and he needed to have some fixing up at the vet as well. So, yeah, do you get referrals from a lot of vets?
Yeah, so we have referrals for vets, particularly for any kind of spinal problems that they haven't been able to work with, and they know that I'm a chiropractor. I'm not a vet, and that's important to understand that I'll always refer if I think there's something going on. Typically we see a lot of cruciate ligaments where a dog might be limping and they'll bring them in to see me, but that's not a problem I can help with, and that often needs a referral as well.
Right, I see, yeah. So a dog might present different problems in different ways, lethargy and going off their food, etc. What sort of things might people lead to?
So typical things are they start getting quite irritable. They might be even a little bit snappy. If you're trying to lift them up, or especially if they're a small dog, they will get very nippy or try and nip you because they're in pain, or yelping is very common. Other things you might see are bowel problems in severe instances. They lose bowel or bladder control. Limping is quite common as well, a common thing we see. Not being able to lift their head up. Yeah, so there's a wide range of.
So the first port of call might be a vet, and you might get a referral to someone like Rachel.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, I just pop along to Rachel's website, youngchiropractic.com.au, and just remember, it could be a spinal injury that's causing some of your dog's problems. Thanks very much.
Great, lovely to meet you.
All right, you too.